Talk about everything, play music in between. Tune in and enjoy Chad's underground scene. Talking music, you know what I mean. Tune in and enjoy Chad's underground scene.
Welcome to Chad's underground scene. Here we are in San Pedro with a great artist. Special guest on my show, Jana.
Hi, Chad.
I'll let you pronounce your last name so I don't muck it up.
I thought that would be an ongoing joke. It's pronounced Opincariu. It's Romanian.
Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to sit and we're going to talk about art and painting, and also maybe talk about some underground music, because I know you dig music.
Oh, I absolutely do, yeah.
So let's start with some of your art, and maybe how you got started and how you got interested in wanting to do art.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So all of this over here, that's all my stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've been professionally painting for about 4 years now, and I started with the Gold series. This is actually the very first of the Gold series. She's my baby, and I think of all the paintings, that's the only one I would not sell.
Oh, yeah. So that's love, right? Yes.
That's the one that I love. And the second series is the Black series, and that's the one that really hit it off here in Los Angeles. I had my solo show in June of this last year, and this piece had a write-up in Random Lengths News, and it didn't make it into the actual press because the article itself is too long. But the painting process is different for every single painting that I do. Right now I'm working on a Bowie, this guy here.
Awesome.
And I think I've only finished maybe one other Bowie piece. That was a lithograph that I did in 2018, but even though I've tried to do justice to Bowie pieces and tried and failed so many times, you know, like songs, you try to do justice to something, it can fall apart halfway through. So,
well, this one here is looking awesome.
Yeah, I'm really feeling it with this one. And the base of my paintings, I always started out with white, and it's especially difficult with black paint, well, the series that I've been doing on black, because the black backgrounds, it's currently the blackest black on the market. It absorbs 98% of light, and I do oils on top of this acrylic background.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
The nature of oils, they're translucent, so all of the light that goes through the oil is absorbed by that super black, so it's layering and layering and layering and layering.
So yeah, so it's a tough to start with, because you have to bring everything above it.
And this painting I've been working on for about a month, and it's just been kicking my butt.
And I know some paintings take a long time, and some take a short time, right? And
right, yeah, I mean, some of these paintings...
And it doesn't make it better or worse. It's... right?
Well, I mean, some of them, like some of these ones, I literally did in an hour, maybe 2. And other ones, like this one, it's a month. Even larger ones, like the largest one that I completed for my solo show, that one was about 4 feet by 6 feet.
Wow, yeah.
And it's a monster. But yeah, like music, it's a process, and
Yes.
it's practice, and it's learning.
So did you start doing art when you were really young?
Yeah, like everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah, my daughter's, she's an artist, and actually all my daughters are artists. And then
good.
they, same thing, they started early with scribbling and drawing in their class or whatever they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, wow, that's interesting. You made some art out of just a pencil and a piece of paper, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a very fond early memory of when I was in, I think it was either first or second grade, and I was in math class. And in this math class, we were told to tell the time on these clock faces. And I didn't care about that. I wanted to decorate the clock face. So I was so proud about how ornately I decorated these clocks, but I was called in after class by my teacher, and she said, well, Jana, we don't know if you're going to be able to pass this class and go on to the next grade because you're doing all of these drawings
Right, yeah.
on your math sheets. It's like, well, why is that a bad thing? I don't care about all of these other things. Why is this important? But no, if you nurture and encourage children, especially at a young age, and not to deter them from whatever they're doing. Probably the best thing was that my father told me after I drew those clock faces, he said, just keep doing that. Don't listen to the teacher. Yes, make sure you finish your work, then draw it. So yeah, no, nurture the hell out of your kids.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, art is something I love. It's just like music. It's somebody put their heart and soul into it, right? You see it come right out in the pictures.
Absolutely. And the best art, the most visceral anything in visual art, in music, I have a theory that if you put 200% into it, then that can be translated at a 100% level.
Oh, yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of these pictures. You said this is your first of the gold.
This is the first of the gold series, and
So what inspired you to come up with this gold and come up with this painting?
Let's see, these are all very long, very deep stories, but I was living in Albuquerque at the time, and are you familiar with the Sandman series by Neil Gaiman?
No.
No, well, it's very
I
good.
might be, but I don't think so.
There's a character called Delirium, and she's an embodiment of what that is, and a certain sigil of hers is a goldfish and a balloon. And that imagery stuck with me for a very long time. And this was probably around 2014, 2015 when I started reading these graphic novels. And I think 2017 is when I first started playing with this idea of these delicate little animals and things that are delicate. And this image was actually the second goldfish with pearls. The very first one I actually did in acrylics, and that one sold for $350 in Colorado. But with this one I was able to capture a sort of humanity in the fish with the eye and a weird sort of pain that I was going through at the time.
And so it came out,
hilariousness.
yeah.
And I wanted to talk about kind of what brings us up and what brings us down. You know, our hopes and dreams can bring us up, and things that are material bring us down. And here we are, these weird, delicate little things that are caught in the middle. And I was particularly fascinated by Ryuk and Goldfish because, well, not only are they really stinking adorable, I mean, they are, but they're actually really hardy fish. And if you nurture them, they can grow up to be the size of a massive grapefruit. But, you know, if like anything
I have a friend that it was like that book we read as a kid, right? He had this goldfish that his kid got throwing the ping pong balls in the little at the fair, right? And he brought it home, and they kept putting it in a bigger container, and it ended up in his tub. And he said it was literally this big. He goes, I had to put it in the tub and leave it in the tub till I could get a bowl big enough to put him back in the bowl.
That's a happily ever after story.
And most of those are feeder fish you get when you play the ping pong ball thing, right? So they don't get big. But he actually ended up with a goldfish, and it just kept growing. Yeah,
that's kind of how we are as people, and it's kind of what brought me to Los Angeles. I felt like a goldfish that was just getting kind of too big for the tank that was Albuquerque. And, you know, that was the first iteration, and then the second iteration was this guy here, and that feels much more solid to me. Not only is it on the black background, this,
so it
void,
pops out, right?
The fish itself is it's an image of purity, and the balloon is it has a mysticism to it, and the pearls, it's called No Strings Attached, that one.
Oh, no, that's a good name.
But there's obviously strings attached.
That's with like everything, right?
Like everything.
It's amazing, and that's what I love about art, is the emotions that go into it come out of it, right? You can just look at a painting and go, wow, and why am I sad? I don't know why, but I'm looking at this and I'm sad, right? Or I'm excited, or I'm happy, whatever it is, right? The emotions come out of that painting.
And one of my favorite things about the entire process is actually seeing how people react to paintings, not only mine, but something that I'm moved by. I can be really moved by something, and somebody else can say, I don't see it in this painting, but this one moves me. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Why?
Yeah.
But with my solo show in June, the closing day, there were maybe 50 people there, which was really unexpected, and people were actually walking out crying. And I wondered why, and they all said thank you. And that's really my goal as an artist. If I can be able to move somebody past words, and for them to realize something in themselves, I think that's a form of magic. Right there. It must be.
It's interesting. And one of my daughters right now, she's really into multimedia. And I have a great story that goes with that. Years ago, I was in a band, Easter, and they did a record cover. And we used this guy Scarpati to do the record cover. And he said, I got a great idea for your cover. Meet me at my studio at midnight. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Ooh.
And so we go to the studio, and he goes, okay, we're not going to do it tonight, but tomorrow we're coming back here at midnight. I want to tell you the plans, and I'm going to hire some models to come, and we're going to go to the graveyard.
Spooky.
Right here in downtown LA, and we're going to take photos with the girls in the crosses in the graveyard. And I'm going, wow, that's wild.
Is that goth or is that punk rock?
And we were kind of putting some ideas in his head about it as well. But when we all got together, when we went down there, he was like, he was going, "Oh my God, this is insane." And
Wow.
so anyway, he starts taking the photos, and then he's like, "These girls aren't tall enough. Does anybody know somebody tall?" And our drummer, Corky, goes, "Yeah, my girlfriend she's really tall. I bet we can get her to come down and do this." And so she comes down, and she's going on this cross, and the cross tips over. She's
No.
and she's not even touching it yet. She's just reaching up because she's going to hang on the cross or pose on the cross, right? And it tips over, and she looks at it, and she turns white.
And that's when you took the shot?
And no, and everybody's like, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "That's my last name on that cross." And then we moved along to a bigger one, and we got a great photo. And then I think he was like early in multimedia, because he took the photo and then he painted onto the photo.
Wow.
And then he took a picture of that to make the album cover. And then he had to do lettering and stuff for the album cover.
Oh man, that's cool.
So he was doing multimedia in the 80s, right? Way before
Perfect.
what we have now. So I think he was the stepping stone going to the multimedia.
Oh.
And it was awesome.
So what's the name of this guy? I absolutely need to look him
John
up. for that.
Scarpati.
Okay.
And
Noted.
And he's got probably thousands of pieces over the years. And I was lucky, he called me about 3-4 years ago. He called me and he said, "Hey, I'm moving, and I have the first painting of the Easter record cover. Just the painting part of it, without the Easter on it." And he goes, "I want somebody that was really going to take care of this to have it. Would you like that painting?" And so I have it at my house now. And it's awesome.
Oh, good. I need to see it.
Yeah. So
It makes me terribly excited.
that's it. So we'll take a short break here, and we'll go to a Easter video. And then also I'm going to try to get a good photo of the picture at my house and put it into the
Yes.
video we're making right now.
Yes.
So here's a video from Easter, and this is from the album where he made this cover.
I'm Richard Blade, and right now, it's world premiere time. We're going to give you a world premiere from a band by the name of Easter. The video is called Manhattan Boy, and this one goes out to all the bikers out there that love just tooling around, particularly at the weekends when the sun's out and all that kind of stuff. We're going to make it a biker doubleheader, give you In Excess right afterwards with Original Sin, but start things off with this world premiere. Thank you guys from Easter.
History story of death and glory. Like heroes and villains always fight each other. They never pretend, slip out the back door awfully quietly. should you complain? I wanna live by chance. I wanna live day to day.
Okay, we're back.
Hi, Chad.
So this is the latest painting that you're working on.
Yeah.
Could you show us a little bit of the techniques you use to do the painting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe show us brushes you use and paint you use?
Yeah, totally. I'm actually going to pick up my cord here. Excuse me. My battery's running low on my computer. So typically I work off of images on my computer. But for this one, and really for all images that I work off of, the most difficult part is being able not only to translate what I do see on the computer, but also knowing that the image on the computer is digital. So I need to be able to exaggerate those colors.
Right, yeah.
So I can put that there. So actually, let's see. I absolutely should have charged my computer.
Here, bring
That's
it over
all right.
here and I could hold it here.
Whoop. There we go. All right, so I haven't painted and talked in a long while. Usually I'll listen to lots of punk rock and goth rock when I'm painting and not talking.
Awesome, yeah. That's what I would do.
And I'm also usually wearing gloves as well, but they're nasty and stinky wet because it's been nasty and hot here as well. But right now what I'm struggling with is well, technically it's the right eye on his face, but it's the left one here. And everything in faces is about proportions and highlights and how to properly get the shadows in here. So looking at my palette, I'm working with a limited color palette, and the best shadows and colors comes from mixing complementary colors. So if I want really nice warm grays or cool grays, then I'll mix reds and greens, or I'll mix oranges and blues, or purples and yellows. Or I'll mix a skin tone with a really deep blue and some white, like I am here. And here's just a Caucasian flesh tone that I'm mixing with a Prussian blue and turning it into a cool gray. And I'm mixing also some orange into that as well to make it a touch warmer. And I'm putting that into the brow line here because what I'm seeing here is that it's actually really warm around the top of his eye there. And I touch and go with smallest of brushes. And it's a really long process doing the touch and go, especially with the details. And really my favorite part is actually the dry brushing process. So I'll take a brush that I've cleaned or brand new brush. And these are like, 50-cent brushes that I get in a $6 2-pack off of Amazon because that's cheap and easy, and I'm really abusive to my brushes. Before you came here, all of this, it was a wreck, just brushes everywhere. And maybe it's just part of my process that it helps.
And I think it's also kind of the artist's way. A lot of artists,
Yeah.
I've noticed, do that. They get...
Some of the best artists, and probably also the most insane that I've met, are ridiculously clean, and I don't know how. There is, I forget his name, but there was a poet and an artist that went to work every day to his studio in a suit and lunch in a briefcase. And he wrote poetry in his head, and then he went to the studio and he painted, and then just treated it like a 9-to-5 job. And that's just monstrous to me. I want to be able to get up at 3 in the morning if the muse strikes me and do it. But
So since we're... this is David Bowie.
oh, Bowie's my boy.
I have a good story about David Bowie.
Yes.
He's part of what got me into playing music. So when I was a kid, my uncle said, "Hey, I'm going to bring you to a concert, and you want to go?" And I said, "I'd love to go to a concert." And he goes, "I'm going to bring you to David Bowie. You're going to love this."
Oh,
And
which
so
one?
he brought me to David Bowie. And it was Thin White Duke. It was,
Oh,
yeah.
man, you lucky.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. And I'm going, man, I think I might want to do that. I think I might want to play a guitar. And
this is actually Thin White Duke era.
yeah.
That's interesting. That's a very good story.
And it was amazing. And after that, I was fortunate enough to see him about 7 or 8 times. But amazing. One of my favorite artists.
I saw him actually in 2004 when he did his reality tour.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it was actually right before his accident, and that tour was cut short. I don't think he actually made it to the West Coast. But man, his music I'd always been drawn to my whole life. And I think I really started listening to him when I was maybe 7 or 8, after I first started, I saw Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, but the fantasy elements with Jim Henson's movies paired with Bowie's strange sort of mysticism, that mystified me.
Yeah, and he's a great person to make a picture of, or a painting of, because he was an artist and he was a super supporter of artists.
Mm-hmm. And he
was in the middle of the scene in New York where he was supporting
he was an avid
artists.
painter too.
And then his whole entire life, the reason he was away from music a lot of the time was because he was doing art shows and he was doing art.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? He was painting, he was doing all kinds of stuff. And then big supporter of artists, getting them together, getting their stuff seen by people.
Yeah, and that...
He took great advantage of his celebrity by helping others. It was great.
He was something special. And he was probably too good for this world.
Yeah, which explains his theatric stuff, right? It's thought out and figured out. It's
thought out, figured out. One of those artists that...
And he's willing to push all the boundaries. It's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And his music, as very good artists go, his music was able to transcend every decade.
Yeah, and then he also was one that obviously put a lot of trust in his musicians, because he had several different bands, several different people, but everybody was loyal. I mean, he had people in his band for 50 years. It's great.
Yeah.
And then anybody that came in, somehow they fit because I think he had trust in them doing what they're supposed to do and to make his music better.
Right.
He wasn't going, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm pretty sure he was letting them have a lot of freedom.
That's really not only the best artist, but the best kind of person that you can be. I think that must be the epitome of goodness, is to both inspire art, but also to inspire people to create and to be a better version of themselves. And it's kind of what I wish to aspire to. I wish to inspire people to create and to see the goodness in themselves, that, you know, no matter how late you start, you entertain the child in yourself that says, yeah, you know, it's to be human is to create.
So Bowie is one of your favorite artists. Tell me some of your other favorite bands and artists.
Oh, bands and artists.
Yeah.
Well, what brought me to Los Angeles was a band, I'm sure you're familiar with them, Community FK.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was actually sharing a lockout studio with them. And they said, well, you know, come to Los Angeles for our final 40th anniversary touring show. And, you know, lo and behold, I met my boyfriend Thin Man. And it was actually one of the album's Close One Sad Eye that I had listened to on repeat and kind of opened my eyes to the whole death rock, California death rock scene. And a lot of music that I'm listening to now was what I learned from the people that had taught me about death rock. So I'm listening to a lot of London Suede and Virgin Prunes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I think the music that inspired me the most was not only Bowie, but I mean, it's a bit cliche to say Marilyn Manson, but I'm also 27.
There you go. Yeah.
Let me think.
I saw Marilyn Manson actually it was a few years back, quite a few years back, with Gary Newman on this. They played together. It was awesome.
Huh, that sounds good.
They were on
That
stage,
sounds
played
really
two
good.
songs together. It was great. Right in Hollywood.
Yeah.
At the Avalon Theater. It was good.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was super
Yeah, that
good.
sounds really good. Yeah, as far as visual artists go, I'm really inspired by abstract expressionists, and I think Mark Rothko was one of my favorites because he was able to take the idea of the sublime and place it into immediacy. And his goal was to move people so much that they do cry. And that inspired me to create something with the idea of the sublime with the black. And Rothko, he had his black paintings, and most of them now are in the Rothko Chapel in Austin, Texas. Wow, I am sorry. Art historian doesn't know where the Rothko Chapel is. How about that? So, no, he's an interesting guy, and Yeah, no, I'm a bit lost for words right now just because of how I'm wrapping my mind about what Rothko was and how he inspired so many other artists after him, and kind of pulling modernity into a more contemporary form of art.
Yes, so you live in a town that's very artistic, music-wise, and artists.
Oh yeah.
So tell us a little bit about living in San Pedro, because
Pedro.
it is a pretty cool place.
It's a really
and the
neat
history
place.
here is abundant, right?
It's the staple of punk rock town. And I think what drew me most to San Pedro was just that it was so untouched by kind of what Los Angeles is, and being near the ocean, and really just what the colors are here. Everything, I mean, I've seen my art transform as I've lived in different places. I created this when I was in Colorado, in southern Colorado, and this guy when I was in Albuquerque. Everything else, and sea life, I started creating actually when I was here in Los Angeles. Everything was here in Los Angeles, even though the Black Series started in Albuquerque, but
the bulk of it you've done here.
The bulk of it I've done here, and they're all, it's more pastel here.
Oh yeah,
But just the colors here, they're so much more muted and hazy versus the like really rich earthy tones of what Albuquerque and what the Southwest is. But artists here and musicians, there's a strange sort of purity to it, and extremely rough and tumble and unapologetic, and
that's why I like coming here.
It's
so what are some of your favorite clubs in San Pedro?
Oh, in San Pedro,
and
I mean,
maybe galleries for art, right? There's a lot of galleries here as well.
There's several.
Unfortunately, we lost a few over the COVID, but hopefully they'll come back.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to, explore that much because the artists they are affected by COVID, and a lot of galleries just have not been open.
Right, yeah.
And really the only places that I'd been to is Acme 5, Gallery Azul, and several galleries on 6th and 7th Street.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And everybody is different. And all of them, some of them are hobbyists, and some of them are really stinking serious about what they do. And if you're paying rent, no.
You're all in.
Yeah, then it's all or nothing. And I have a deep respect for that.
Yeah.
I have a deep respect for
and the music venues are the same style.
Yeah. And
people are all in. It's awesome.
That's kind of why I love Harold's so much.
Yeah.
Harold's is
one of my favorite. Yeah. Everything about it, it's eclectic, right? It's not
absolutely,
because they don't have bands every night, but when there's a band there, it's always interesting. You're like, wow.
Yeah, and Harold's, when you're in Harold's, it's like being in the best kind of Twilight Zone.
Yeah, you're in a Twilight Zone all the way.
It's dark, and
even the movies they're playing on the TV.
Oh yeah.
You're like, what?
Right, yeah, or just like, here is a wonderful documentary about red-eyed tree frogs, and over there is the sound of
Dracula.
music. And right, yeah. And I'm like, wow, I love this place so much. If Harold's had an evil, ugly stepsister, it would be the Venetian.
Yeah.
But it's like the opposite of what that is, in a sort of, I want to stay here.
Yeah.
And, not only are the drinks amazing, but just the entire vibe of what Harold's
of what's
is,
going on in there and the
bands
people in
that
there.
come through there. Oh yeah, yeah.
Just the people that go to the place. It's amazing. You're just like, where did they come from?
Exactly, and you know, like the fishermen come off the dock, and I haven't met one like weird, nasty person that's gone through Harold's. I mean, usually I just go with wonderful people anyway. So how can I possibly?
Yeah, when you're with a crowd of
there?
positive people, positive things happen.
Yeah. So it's been all good.
And there's also the Sardine down the street. They get some pretty good shows in there. Yeah.
I saw. Who did I see? It was Space Force and Skyly Vague. I think it was a couple months ago, and they're both really excellent, you know, kind of goth rock, punk rock bands. Yeah. Sardine's fun.
And Godmothers, I like going in there.
I haven't been to Godmothers yet.
Oh, it's cool. Just there's so much, the whole vibe, and then the theater used to have lots of concerts, but with the COVID and everything, they haven't been doing much.
Yeah, I'm so anxious for
to
everything
just
amazing. Like, you know, really start opening up
things
again.
going again. Yeah,
and I mean it's getting there. I mean, it's
getting there, yeah.
It's back and forth, but I think the artists especially are deeply anxious for just to get back in the community again, and that's something that I've really been craving, is just to be back in a community of artists, and that's what we need. You know, the artists need other artists, whether it be musicians or painters or, you know, whatever. That's what I had back in Albuquerque.
So speaking of Harold's, I just played there recently a few times. So
yeah. We're
going to break away to a live video of a song from our show.
Yay.
Enjoy. This is a Little Mess.
All right, for those who don't know us, we are Little Mess on Dope. Oh shit. Very. Bernie on the triangle right there. Triangle solo. That's art. That's Bernie, I'm not art. Light is shining, let's breathe from here. Without passing, never stop to feel. It's time to raise your voice inside. Take a moment when I'm by your side. Everyone is acting like they don't care. Reach out and help us. Come in and stay. Everyone together, we can start a new day. Every day, I'm going insane. Can't stand aside.
Okay, we are back.
Hello.
And so tell us where we can find your art. Can we find it online?
Yeah.
Is there some studios that might have some pieces?
Yeah, I do. All of my art is currently on my website under my name, just Jana Opincariu Art. If you just type in my name, Jana Opincariu, into Google, you know, it just pops up right away, along with a lot of the articles that have been written about me. Both of these pieces here have been featured in articles in different cities, so those will be popping up. And there's also a gallery in Long Beach, Halata, that is supporting my artwork right now. And yeah, no, just all really good people down there.
And what are your plans? You're working on this one here?
Working on that one, and
then are you planning to do some shows and show your art?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the biggest show that I'm going to be doing is called Dark Totem, and that's going to be with my contemporary Daniel Kathleen-us. He's an internationally known artist, and we did the first show, Totem, in Albuquerque in 2019. And that was my breakout show, and after that I had solo shows pretty much everywhere in Albuquerque. But Dark Totem, that'll be at Halata in May of 21. No, 22. So yeah, that's going to be the biggest one, and that's going to be featuring both my Black series and Gold series.
So since we're in San Pedro, another thing that there's a lot of in San Pedro is tattoo shops and tattoo artists that work out of their homes, right?
Yeah.
And it really transforms to art, because people that do that, a lot of them are artists, right? So they're artists first, and then they tattoo their art onto you, right? And it's an amazing transformation I see. And
it's
then
a weird fetish.
And then you can even take art to them and say, I would like this here, right? And they a lot of them can do that, right?
Right.
And it's an amazing transformation to me.
Those people are just freaks of nature. Really. I mean, if you want to be, say like, okay, I want a picture of Bowie, you know, like here, just right across my arm. Good. If you don't if you don't like put some sort of like something on your arm, you're going to be in pain for hours.
Oh,
Not
right,
only
yeah,
getting it, but it's like, okay, I'm going to be putting this beautiful picture on you, and I'm going to be inflicting
don't
this
move.
pain on you, and don't move. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. People that are tattoo artists, they must have some sort of pleasure in inflicting pain on people.
Yes.
I think so.
It's amazing. But it's an amazing thing. San Pedro, great town.
Oh no, it's
great town to
wonderful,
come down and get a tattoo. And
mad respect for all of the artists that, I mean, no, tattoo artists. If you're a good tattoo artist, props to you, because people are wearing that for the rest of their lives.
And it's
they trust you
also
with that.
probably a great way to make a living doing what you love, right? Because you're doing art all day long.
Yep.
It's just awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I prefer to stick with the 2D because I'm very old school. I'm really not that much into the like NFTs or digital art, because painting never dies.
Right, yeah. No, exactly.
And,
yeah. There'll always be museums, and there's always
going to be
art
museums,
in there, yes.
and there's a special sort of something that you can get out of a painting that you can't with anything else.
And then here's another thing I give. My advice for people when they're looking at art in a gallery or they're looking to buy art is, and I told it to my friends, I tell it to my kids, I go, when you look at it, you have to love it.
Right.
Because you don't want to take that away from somebody that might love it. So
Right.
when you see something on the wall, don't look at the price so much. Look at that and go, do I love that?
Yeah.
And if you do love it, then you figure out a way you can pay for that and get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're going to put it up on the wall.
Yeah.
Like the painting that my friend gave me, or the photo painting, is on my wall, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't get it on the wall fast enough.
Yeah. No, one of my very first commissions that I did for one of my very best friends, he asked for a painting based off of Albert Camus' Myth of Sisyphus. And Albert Camus was arguing that one must imagine Sisyphus happy.
Yeah.
And it took me the longest time to conceive of this painting, but it was, well, like, it was 48 by 56 inches, this painting, and, you know, all gold, and this really beautiful, I think it was a Prussian blue that I used. I think we can like cut to, like, I can show you that painting, but it is so beautiful. And almost, yeah, every few months or every year, my friend will contact me and he'll say, Jana, every morning I wake up and I have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee with this painting because it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And
share your coffee with the painting, right?
Yeah, share your coffee with a painting. And
that's a great way to do it. That's awesome.
Again, you know, that's what painting is about. If I can bring joy to somebody every day with something that I created,
then it was a job well done.
Then it's a job well done.
Yes. So since we were on the subject of tattoo artists, I was in a band called Love Dog, and our singer, she's a great tattoo artist, and she does tattoos up in Reno. So if anyone's up in Reno hanging out, look for Sherry Love Dog, and you could get a beautiful tattoo.
Oh, awesome.
And hers are
Yeah.
vivid colors, amazing tattoos.
Good. Yeah, then look her up.
So we're going to close out the show, and then after the show, we will show a video of Love Dog, and you'll be able to see some of her tattoos and the other
Lovely.
people in the band that have tattoos. So
Groovy.
I'd like to thank you for coming out. You've been watching Chad's Underground Scene with Jana Opincariu.
Opicanaris.
Sweet.
Opicaris. That's all right. That's going to be an ongoing joke. Nobody can
Right.
pronounce my first or last name.
Opicaris? Did we get it?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Got it. Nailed it.
So thanks for coming out, and remember, it all starts in the underground.
It all starts in the underground.
I pray for you.
Talk about everything, play music in between. Tune in.